All right, you're live on the Junius Maltby channel. Glad you could join me. Thanks for being here this evening. It's not going to be a long one. I won't keep you up too long here on the most boring channel on the YouTube. We're just going to be talking about, it's a series of articles that came out, most of them on the same theme, on the same individual. I haven't seen his name in the news in years, actually. Larry Summers. So it brings up well, all the images and the articles and the news cycles from back in '07, '08, '09. He was deeply involved. His name came up quite a bit back then during the last financial crisis. And we'll go through his resume real quick here before we venture into the news because he's been popping up lately. I got one of his articles, or an article that mentioned him, was in Bloomberg. Was sent to me by my dad, actually, and I read through that. Interesting news, especially the perspective that was coming out of Summers, the individual. And then there was one that was in the New Yorker. I saw it popped up, and apparently he's been butting heads, kind of getting in some friction with former colleagues, people in the same political camp as him, and so on. And so you can see this, he's been in the news lately, obviously. Here he is here. This is from 4 days ago. This is the one from the New Yorker, Larry Summers versus the Biden administration's COVID stimulus plan. Big thing there. I guess there was a Zoom debate with my least favorite economist ever, Paul Krugman. Remember the bearded wonder? We used to make fun of him on this channel. The guy that wanted to fake an alien invasion to stimulate the economy. Apparently they're butting heads. I would be on Summers' side. If they had a duel and they were actually shooting pistols, I would hope Larry Summers would win. Welcome to all the channel members, good friends of the chat, those of you with the coin next to your name. We have Silver Ripples, Lurky Brewster, Kangaroo Stacks, DB. Good to see you. Jeff Elwell, Silver Stoic, Lurky Brewster, Reckless. You're all in here. Good to see you. And any patron members, I know there's some patrons that kind of slip under the radar and lurk. Some of them don't even comment, so I won't even know they're here. They'll be listening, but they won't put their name in the chat, and that's fine. Also, we've got, let's see, Lurky Brewster. Who else? Who am I missing here? We got Jeff Elwell, Mark Gutierrez. I got Quintessential. It sounds like quintessential. I think I get what you're doing there. That's a great name. I like it. Welcome to you as well. Bill Spencer. Awesome. So yeah, there's always the lurkers, the good channel members that are here all the time. I hear from some of them on occasion, and it's like, hey, I've been listening for 8 years. I'm always on the channel. I just never comment. Just want to say good job. Like, they don't even comment down below in the chat because they're afraid of, I guess, the FBI or CIA or Mossad or MI6 or whoever it is that might be tracking us on that particular evening broadcast. So let's move on now. Let's just get into this. I told you I wouldn't keep you that late. You guys have better things to do. But the title for this was obviously, yes, it's that bad. Now, why would I title it that, this video? Sometimes it's a challenge. You wouldn't believe the debate I enter sometimes when I have to, like, on the spot title a video. It's very difficult. It's not easy. And it's that bad. And why would I say that? Well, because Larry Summers. If a guy like Larry Summers is coming out, a guy who, he was part of this whole thing. He's been an architect of this collapsing economy. He's been there at the helm. And if he's saying it's that bad, then it's probably that bad. It's bad. He's talking about inflation. He's talking about a lot of things. It sounds like, and we'll get into it. But then, we've got, on top of this, okay, but now, this is the main event, but this popped into the news today. I want you to keep this in the back of your head. So they already mailed out the 1.9 trillion, right? You all got your checks, I'm assuming, your deposits, and everyone's getting their free money, the helicopter money. It's raining out of the air like manna from heaven. They already did the 1.9 trillion. Check this out, please. What do you see there? Biden is now planning on doing another $3 trillion airdrop. And Mrs. Maltby, I just wanted to let you guys know, she's been sick today with a fever, so sorry about the emojis. She hasn't got a chance to switch them back. You're going to have to use the pirate and the raid emojis in the chat. But those are just as fun, and they're going to go away soon, so enjoy them. But on this, keep this on the back of your mind here as we enter the conversation regarding Summers. All right? $3 trillion Again, another 3 trillion. They just did 1.9. They're throwing money at this thing like it's nothing. And this one here, Biden's in this is another article. This is from 8 hours ago. Because if they say 3, it's always going to be more than that. This one from Yahoo News says Biden infrastructure job spending push could hit 4 trillion. 4 trillion. This is setting the stage, ladies and gentlemen, for absolute catastrophe for the dollar. You don't have to be Larry Summers. You don't have to be anyone at all. Really, I'm serious. Economics is not that complicated. I've shared this with you 100 times. The first economics book I ever read when I was younger, it was like Economics 101, like the intro to economics. It was surprisingly how simple the concepts were, but then how much of it was just a bunch of theory and hogwash and BS and debate and garbage. And you know, the fundamentals of it, you know, supply and demand, really. Come on, let's get down to it in price. They're cranking out dollars. 3 to 4 trillion more. I've showed you the hockey stick charts 100 times. We've talked about money supply, the debt. I'm not going to bore you to death with that. These are big numbers, real numbers. We've talked about market cap. We've talked about the investable supply of silver, the mine's production rates of silver and gold. All of this. And we've looked at the entire global economy for the past 8 years. And one of the biggest takeaways I always get, there's just no hope. There's no hope. Truly, there is none. There's no hope for the global economy, period. You can't have it. If you do, like I say to some people, hey, you know what? I'm like, can I use a bad word on this? Should I? I guess I will. I'll say the shit word. It's not a bad word. Everyone hears it. All right. So, sometimes you got to tell people, hey, you know, take a shit in one hand and hope in the other and see which one fills up first. All right. It's pretty simple. It's a gross analogy or you know, adage, but it's some wisdom passed on to me by gruff, older gentlemen when I was younger, and it's true. It's actually true. You know, see which one of your hands fills up first. And the point of that is, the reality of the situation is, it's not good. It's like the handful of poop. And anyways, we're going to move on. Let's take a look at Larry Summers' bio here real quick. Just real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on it because he doesn't interest me that much. It is remarkable, though, what he's accomplished in his life, of course, with his connections. And, you know, here's his bio. I'm pulling it up right now. There we go. You're not going to be able to see all of it because it's very small. This is on Wikipedia. I'll have to read part of it to you. But he's been in office, held several different occupations, all of them being really as an economist, economic director, you know, in charge of development of economics, chief economist for the World Bank, U.S. Treasury Department. You know, this guy he served under President Clinton's administration, Treasury Secretary of 99 to 2001, former director of the National Economic Council for President Obama, 09 to 10, former president of Harvard, 0106. He's definitely, I would consider to be in the circle, in the club that we're not members of. It's definitely an individual who's part of the elite, the upper echelons, part of those, you know, Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, New World Order, you name it, United Nations, probably a Fabian socialist, progressive, probably a cultural Marxist. I mean, there's a lot of things. Who knows? But for some reason, he's out ringing church bells these days. He's raising some alarms. So that's his bio, real quick. It's pretty extensive. We'll just go there. And I saw this now. This is the articles that popped up, the ones I'm talking about here now, that we're going to get to. So I'm not going to be in the chat for a little bit. We'll be in the articles. Is this one? Larry Summers blasts the 1.9 trillion stimulus as the least responsible economic policy in 40 years. So he's a top economic advisor to former President Obama, and he blasted this last 1.9 trillion. I don't even know if he knows about the 3 trillion or the 4 trillion they're talking about doing now. But he blasted the last one. And I'm going to make this a little bigger just so you guys can see it. And then I get the side margin stuff out. There we go. All right. Speaking on Bloomberg's television's Wall Street Week on Friday, he outlined his predictions for the economy in light of the relief package. And he says, quote, "I think this is the least responsible macroeconomic policy we have had in the last 40 years. So think of the last 40 years. That's dating back to about 1979, 1980. So all that time. And he's saying this is the least responsible macroeconomic policy that we have had in the last 40 years. This is coming from this guy. He's like essentially one of them. One of them. One of them. I think fundamentally it's driven by intransigence on the Democratic left and intransigence and completely unreasonable behavior on the whole of the Republican Party, he continued. He's kind of blaming both. Summers warned that there was a 1/3 chance. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Summers warned there was a 1/3 chance that inflation would accelerate over the next several years because, as we talked about this morning here on the Junius Maltby channel, I told you, it takes a year or two. All of these crayon eaters, these crayon eaters, these booger eaters, these window lickers. Oh, that's right. Someone told me earlier in a comment that I'm sometimes I get a little angry and mean. Junius is mean. He was making fun of people and making them not feel safe or comfortable. It's that mean man again. It's Junius. Hello, it's Junius Maltby. Hello, sir. Yes, I need to call the police on this man. Anyways, I can't even read that over there. Oh yeah, I was considered, someone called me xenophobic. That's right. I forgot about that. Then fear of outsiders. I have no fear of outsiders. Actually, I have very little fear of most people. I just like people to stay where they are, and I'll stay where I am, and we'll just go our own separate ways. All right, you have your culture, you have your traditions, I'll have mine. Yes. And I don't like people forcing their worldviews or their intolerance upon me. A lot of people don't tolerate my culture either. So we'll live in our separate places, do our separate things. Back to the news. I got to be careful because sometimes I go off the rails. I get a little mean. I say mean things. And then people don't feel safe. And then they don't want to hang out. They don't want to get the news. Well, that's all right. You're on my channel. You don't like it? I don't know. Take the NFT. I'm selling NFT doors. They're non-effing tangible, but they are like an NFT token. And it's a door. And you can purchase them from me. And then that way, if you don't like the channel, you can see your way out. And it's a digital door. I don't know if they close or not, but it's kind of cool. They're going to be $5.99 for digital doors. And it's the exit door to get off the channel. Anyways, going off on the deep end now. Back to this article, back to this story. The people that deny inflation, again, they think it's instant. They think, okay, the 1.9 trillion, they just dropped it. Everyone's getting it. Where's the inflation you talked about? It's not here yet. It takes a little while, tough guy. Go read a book. Go sit down. Go study some words, please. The big people are talking now. You don't get it. Inflation has a cyclic rate. It has to flow. The money has to go through the economy. And there's all kinds, like I told you, all kinds of variables to it. I don't even know what all of them are. But it takes time from the moment money enters the economy and filters through it. Of course, we've talked about the myths of the velocity of money, but however, that is a consideration. How fast and how often it's changing hands for goods and services. All of the increase in the money supply has to become palpable. It has to be noticeable. And it will be. The market will detect it and prices of goods and services will react to that. So it does take a little bit. All right. Now, I just saw an article, no joke, sent to me today by a friend on this. And they can track where this $1,400 is going in some communities, I guess. And it was not an Onion article. This was not from the Onion. And the article was titled, where was it? It's incredible. Here it is. Stimulus checks ignite spending in athletic footwear and apparel, Bank of America. So Bank of America actually sees where these stimulus checks are going. And apparently it's going towards a lot of athletic apparel and footwear. I'm guessing tennis shoes. And this is from data from Bank of America Global Research. Athletic footwear and apparel spending jumped significantly, 20% year over year for the week ending. And again, all of this being attributed to the stimulus. And apparently there was a lot of it being spent down in Florida, where the spring break was happening. Apparently people from all over the cities on the East Coast went on their vacations down in Florida, a bunch of college people, and they blew all their money. So, I'm sure bars, restaurants, travel venues, and all of that, vacation type spots, they're getting that money. So then that money's going to flow from them to others. The point of this is, as we get more and more distracted on this, the inflation thing, a lot of people deny it. And it's kind of insulting in a way, I guess, for people like us, or even, I guess not even that. It's not even insulting because I'm not insulted by them. To me, it's more of an indignation I have for their arrogance, I guess you could say. Because here they are, they're disagreeing with, and I might not agree with everything Larry Summers says or all of his assessments or his viewpoints, but just take him, for example. Larry Summers, pretty significant resume. Yeah, guys like Peter Schiff, yeah, he's a one percenter. Some people disagree with his viewpoints. But then you've got, all the different guys that write for Mises.org, all the Austrian school guys who pretty much are, I would consider, fairly intelligent individuals. And then you've got other mainstream economists that we've discussed and talked about over the last few weeks here. All of them really kind of pointing to the same, I would say, theme. I mean, all of them agree that, if anything, they agree on one thing: inflation. That it is going to come. Now, they might differ on the times, the severity, even the cause, and what the results, what it's going to look like, how long it's going to last. But we know this, it's happening. It's going to happen. So the people that are saying they don't see it yet, well, that's absolutely fine. That's like if I told you and showed you on radar that a Category 5 hurricane was 4 days out, would you walk outside and say, oh, it's a sunny day out, it looks fine? No, I don't need to worry about a hurricane. What are you, crazy? There's no hurricane. They don't realize, no, I'm not talking about right now, tough guy. I'm talking about 5 days from now. The forecast is showing us the hurricane and the track of the storm. The storm path is going to come here. You might want to prepare for it. No, I don't see it. It's a sunny day out, man. You're crazy. You're crazy, man. I like you, but you're crazy. That's what they feel like when you're talking to these people. They just don't get it. Look, I'm not talking about today. I'm not talking about this summer. I'm not even talking about Christmas this year. I'm talking about a year 2, 3, which is nice. Gives you some time, maybe. I've got other friends that are off the rails that I agree with that they don't give us that long. And these, I don't share all those conversations with you guys because I don't want to, rustle your feathers, get your hair standing up. I'm not going to be one of those fear-monger channels. I try to keep it real, dial it down a notch. Sometimes, I filter information. Yeah, I'm not going to pass that on. That's a little hot. That's out there. I process it. I might even agree a little bit, but I'm like, that's a little, oh man, that's some scary stuff. I don't want to shake them too much. We can't talk about that. That's nightmarish. But anyways, the one thing I can tell you is we're seeing across the board that it is inflation, that it's going to happen. And I know there's a lot of people out there denying it. A lot of people don't see it. They try to make excuses for it. And they try to tell you that there's nothing to worry about, that there is no inflation, that it's not coming. I would rather be prepared for it and wrong than deny, say that it's not happening, and then have it show up and be completely unprepared. At least I'm passing on information from people that I do trust. And even people that I don't agree with, like Summers talking about this. So when he says 1/3 of a chance, and this is just him saying 1/3, hey, again, I think it's like 99% of the chance, but let's take his 1/3. 1/3 chance that inflation would accelerate over the next several years, with the U.S. possibly facing stagflation or economic stagnation. Summers also warned that the U.S. would see inflation because the Federal Reserve would hit the brakes, destabilizing the markets and sinking the economy close to a recession. So again, you get all these guys, all these different economic minds predicting different scenarios, all of them severe or bad in their own little area. It's crazy. Like, this is his viewpoint now. I might not agree with all this, and I'll tell you right now I don't. But I do believe the inflation part of it. There are more risks in this moment that macroeconomic policy itself will cause gray consequences than I can remember, Summers said. There have been terribly serious moments in the past, but then macroeconomic policy was trying to stabilize things. Now there's the real risk that macroeconomic policy will be very much destabilizing things, he concluded. So is he telling us that these people are destabilizing things? The very people that he works for, that he's worked for, with, beside, behind, in front of. He was part of this whole paradigm. He was one of the key, I would say, influential minds, and at the helm. And so now he's saying that these policies, the very policies he probably helped write and draft and teach, are destabilizing things, he concluded. Summers, who served as Treasury Secretary under former President Clinton, was one of the few left-leaning economists that has been critical of the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. You got to be scared when socialists start telling you you're being too socialist. That's a scary place to be. When a progressive like this is like, hey, not so much. That's a little much, or whatever. In an op-ed for the Washington Post in February, he warned that risk of inflation associated with the proposal could have consequences for the dollar and financial stability. Is this guy talking about dollar stability, devaluation, debasement, the strength of the currency? Nobody talks about that. You're crazy. It's the dollar. It can't go anywhere. Come on. You're nuts. The Biden administration has pushed back against inflation fears. Of course they do. That guy can't find his underwear in the morning. The Biden administration. What a joke. Look at this guy. They should be feeding him milk toast somewhere. They pushed back against the inflation fears, citing the risks of not doing enough to stimulate the economy due to the pandemic. That's what every government has ever said in the times of crisis. Oh, well, we can't do nothing. Oh, we got to save it. Okay. The risks of not doing enough. Okay. The risks of not doing enough. Anyways, that's a brief look at the main article, which is here on Bloomberg, which they won't let me into because, again, I don't pay for Bloomberg and they want me to sign up, which is funny because I can get it on my phone for free. I don't understand. It's like they want me to sign up to use it on the laptop, but if I go into my phone here, I can pull up the very same article free of charge. I don't understand it. And it's the same one. Summer sees worst U.S. Least responsible fiscal policy in 40 years. And this is another, it circulated all over. It got on Financial Advisor. They picked it up. And all of them essentially quoting in one way or another the same article from Bloomberg. I think the biggest piece, because he's a paid contributor, Summers is, for Bloomberg. Yeah, it says right here. But there are more risks at this moment that macroeconomic policy will cause grave risks than I can... Grave, so they spelled it right in the last article. Grave risks, he called it. Then I can remember, Summers said, and he says right here, paid contributor to Bloomberg. So that's why. Okay, I'm getting it now. But again, he was critiquing the Biden administration. And then, right here, where's the part about Krugman? Here it is. Also speaking on Wall Street Week was Nobel laureate Paul Krugman, who's never held a job, started a business, or been productive, or done anything other than hypothesize, theorize, and talk about that which he has never done, which is economics. And that's Paul Krugman, my brief intro for him. Rejected the theory that the U.S. will witness, this is great, he rejected the theory that the U.S. will witness 1970-style inflation surge because of the stimulus. He rejected it. That's not going to happen. Again, always remember that Paul Krugman is the economist that in all seriousness stated they need to fake an alien invasion because it would help stimulate the economy. That's no joke. That was no joke in that. He really said those things. And then this is, I think, Krugman here. He says it took really more than a decade of screwing things up year after year to get to that pass. And I don't think we're going to do that again, Krugman said. Can you believe? I mean, that's an economist. That's Paul Krugman, a Nobel laureate. That's a Nobel laureate economist for you. It took really more than a decade to screw things up year after year to get to that pass. I don't think they're going to do that again. Okay, back it up. How? Why? Are you serious? Anyways, that's Paul Krugman. That's his big quote on, and he was adding that the Fed has the tools to tackle price pressures if needed. Okay. All right. Good for Krugman. Point of this is we got Larry Summers ringing church bells now, which at that point, that's like, I hope that I'm already gone. When Larry Summers starts telling you things aren't good, that's like I said earlier, it's a socialist telling us that we're being too socialist. It should frighten just a few of you. Worst case scenario, out of the fiscal stimulus package would be a transitory spike in consumer prices, as was seen early in the Korean War, he said. The relief bill is definitely significant stimulus. But that's the Krugman. Yeah, Krugman was saying we might have a little bit of transitory spike in consumer prices, but like they had back in Korea, but nothing significant, not wildly inflationary. That's another quote from another the same article, but the lengthier version out of Bloomberg, and that was Krugman. Again, Krugman's talking about, and the other thing is Krugman accepts that inflation is going to come. He accepts it, but just not to the degree that others do. You get what I'm saying? He knows it's going to happen. He's talking about it, but he thinks it'll just be like a momentary or brief, or the Fed they'll step in, they'll change it, they'll make things better. It won't be too bad. I think Krugman's always trying to get a job with the Fed. I think that 90% of the time, it's like he's like a living example of one of those people that's always applying for someplace, and all he's doing is trying to boost his resume, and he's always trying to be quoted as being favorable. So the next time he shows up for his Fed interview, because I don't think he's ever been hired and held any prestigious position, really. That's my opinion anyway. I mean, I look down on Paul Krugman. I actually feel sorry for him. He almost looks like a homeless man sometimes. Well, I look homeless, so that's not saying much. But he's just a confused goofball of an economist. There's a lot better options out there. I don't know why he gets picked up in the media as often as he does. There's just other economists to quote. Way better. Anyways, enough harping on him. I've done that for 8 years, off and on. But that's it. That's not really it. I mean, the situation that I wanted to bring up and raise today was, again, it's that bad because Larry Summers is warning us. I thought it was hilarious. It's actually ironic to me. I never thought that I would come upon an article where Larry Summers is warning of the economy that he helped create having issues. And it's kind of a staggering, if anything, it's a shocking development. Anyway, I wanted to share it with the channel because a lot of you probably recognize the names that we discussed from years past. That's it for this evening, though, on this particular piece of information. Didn't want to keep you too long, told you that. So I will go to the comments real quick, briefly. We'll just see if there's any input or questions. Anything, Mrs. Maltby, to add that we're missing? No? Sick girl? Okay, nothing from the sick girl. Anyways, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you guys were all here. If there's any questions, anything that the community would like to raise or discuss, good ones, channel members, any input, always taking stuff. It's always fun to have a conversation on the side, outside of the main articles, the main event. But not seeing much. You seen anything, Mrs. Maltby? No? All right. Well, on that note, it is late for everyone, I'm sure. You guys have better things to do, like going and stacking some silver and considering those things. So, everyone, good night. Sleep tight. Say your prayers. And keep stacking. We'll see you guys in the next one. So be well, all of you. Thanks for tuning in. All of you channel members and patrons, thank you for your support, your membership, and your contributions always. You guys keep this channel alive. Keep it motivated. So be well. And yes, let's... Spall Walker, I will find that. Link on the alien... Just Google it. Paul Krugman, fake alien invasion. You will find it. I talked about it once. It's actually in my economics collapse playlist, my friend. It's in there. Go check it out. I think I have him on the cover, or there's like aliens on the thumbnail, or like a Martian invasion. It's in there. Believe me, it is. Alrighty, I covered it years ago, actually, when it was news. Now it's old news. But thanks for tuning in, Silver Ripples. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. And all of you, be well. All right? Be well. Thanks for being part of the Junius Maltby channel. We're a small and humble club, but we will prevail, and we will raid again, because the raid never ends.